warm welcome. Thank you so much for coming to our panel. Our panel is about designing for online play and live stream. My name is Monica Paprocki. I'm from geeksagogo.com. And today I am joined by these amazing TTRPG and game writers and designers with me today. Let's do a round of introductions, starting with Banana Chan.
Hi everyone, I'm Banana. I'm the owner and co-founder of a small box board game and RPG publishing company called Gamehole. I also write and design RPGs. Some of my latest works have been on Van Brixton's Guide to Ravenloft. I did some stuff for Dune, the RPG, not the board game. And I also did some stuff for Scooby-Doo Betrayal at Mystery Mansion, which is a board game.
That's one of Betrayal's one of my favorite games, and when I saw that on the, I was working at an FLGS when that game came out, and I was like, this is literally the best thing ever.
Oh, thank you.
It's awesome.
That's really cool, thanks. And yeah, I just had a Kickstarter for Josh Should Blend the Maypole, and yeah, that's me.
Oh, wait, your current Kickstarter that's happening right now?
My current Kickstarter that's happening right now is Suburban Consumption of the Monsters, which is an R-rated / for adults anthology, LARP anthology, and it's got 14 LARPs, and it's all horror. So yeah, check it out.
Awesome. Wonderful. Latia?
Me, hello. My name is Latia Jacques. I am the Community Relations Coordinator for Modsfit Games. I am also a freelance TTRPG writer and streamer. Some of my more recent works have included Critical Role Call of the Netherdeep, which I'm really glad I can announce now. That's coming out next month. I have done a couple of things on DM's Guild. I co-wrote this adorable little module called Fun Size with Mackenzie DeArmas and Honey Saint, where what if the gods of the Forgotten Realm were babies and you had to take care of them as adventurers? So that was a super fun thing that we did. And I'm also on the TV stream Rivals of Waterdeep, which airs on Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific, noon Central. So I'm kind of all over the place.
Yay! And I don't know if I introduced myself. My name is Monica Paprocki from Geeksagogo. I currently am an accountant, but I cosplay for several Fair Games, and pretty soon I'm going to be cosplaying for another one that I'll be announcing like next week during our live stream for TTRPG game. So
Exciting.
Welcome everyone. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to dive into some questions here. So let's start off with this. What do we mean when we say designing for online play and live stream?
For me, that means when designing for online play is pretty obviously like not a lot of people are playing in person these days. We've kind of transitioned to things like Zoom and Discord and the various VTTs out there. So designing games and play styles that make the best use of the platforms that you are running with, whether it be Zoom or Discord or Roll20 or whatever. And then live streaming, basically the same thing, but how you're going to have an audience see that stuff as well. It's not open.
Latia, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I think that designing for live streaming is very different from like playing with a group of friends in a private space. Because when you're playing with like a group of friends, it's sort of just like, oh, we're hanging out. We can explore uncomfortable feelings, or we can chat about things that publicly we probably wouldn't want to talk about.
Exactly.
But when you're doing it for a live stream, that's more for an audience. So there is that third party that's watching you and engaging with you, and they're sort of invited in as a player as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But that being said, we've talked about live streams being popular because of what happened last year. What are some games that we've seen that have been successful in integrating online platforms into play? What are your favorites?
I'm actually going to say, I have the questions up too, because otherwise I will forget them. Even as you say them to me, that's how my brain works. Online platforms into play. Well, right around the mid-time of the pandemic, I'm going to do a little bit of a plug here. So Untitled Games designed The Darkest House, which is a it's a horror supplement. It is a game all in its own, but it is meant to supplement a current campaign of any system by bringing players through a sort of conversion system into the Darkest House and exploring that realm, and then bringing the characters out of the house if they make it out of the house, and then determining how their experience in the house has affected them as they continue on in their D&D game or their Call of Cthulhu game or whatever. But we built that game to be completely online, as something that the GM can have on their laptop, and like handouts are made available via, like, you know, you can share an image, you can share a sound bite, you can copy and paste text to deliver to like several players or individual players. So making use of just those tools for really the specific purpose of, we want you to be able to play this online with your friends. So that's available on the Monty Cook Game Store and Drive-Thru RPG right now.
There you go.
It's interesting because we were just talking about this yesterday. Like, we were at a bar and I was talking about it with a friend, and we were just saying, like, this is the coolest thing.
Really?
Right? Yeah, because like it is not only an online thing, it's not only using like an online platform, but it also integrates like TTRPGs, like that are physical, and like brings them onto like an online thing. So it's like more easily accessible for like people who want to play like online. So I think it's a great tool. Like all of it is like incredible.
Oh, awesome. Glad you enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. And also like I'm a horror buff, so I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. I would also add to that, like that list, I would say Alice is Missing is definitely one of those games that uses that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because there is this whole line of games called LAUGs, live action online games. They're like LARPs, but you play them online or you play them through a different platform. It was coined by this guy, I believe he's like a Nordic LARPer. His name is Garrett Grindhouse. And basically, live action online games are like LARPs that you can play online, like I mentioned. And Alice is Missing is definitely one of those. There's also another game called Long Time Listener, Last Time Caller, where you're all like radio people who are like calling into a DJ. The DJ is like the GM essentially, and you're just like describing the end of the world as it's happening. And there's this other game by Avon called As We Know It, and you're all like humans who are like who are stuck in their closet. So you're playing this game like in a dark closet, and you're like texting everyone, and you're trying to make sure that like you don't get caught by like the alien invasion that's happening.
Oh my god.
It's very cool. These games you can find on Golden Cobra, the Golden Cobra Challenge, which happens every year. You can like submit games if you wanted to, but a lot of these games are free, and they're super accessible, and they're only like 2 or 3 pages long.
That's pretty cool. I learned
love
something
the
new
short-
today.
like, I love the amount of 1 to 3 page RPGs that has come out of. I'm not gonna say that it came out of the pandemic, because we all know like people like Grant Howard have been doing 1-page RPGs for forever.
Yeah.
But like, I guess being cooped up inside has really kind of brought out that creativity in people, where it's like, oh yeah, I have an idea and it's literally like this short, and here it is, now go and do your thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not a lot of people realize there's more than 5 different types of RPGs out there. You know? It's like, there's so many that I love playing. What are some useful tools that you've seen used to make tabletop gaming online more immersive? Like, do you notice any tools from the games that you both have mentioned?
I think the use of, I'm gonna say captions and readable text. Because like, for example, in the Darkest House, like, we have all of these handouts that, like these picture handouts that you can give to people, but at the same time, a lot of them have been made to look like actual, like, torn out pages of journals and things like that. So in addition to these handouts, we also include the base text, so that you can, like, if somebody's having difficulty reading a picture, or, you know, they can't see the picture, and, you know, we did not include alt text, which is something that I want to improve on in future things that we do. But we at least made the text available to be given to somebody who would have difficulty reading those graphics. So I think accessibility tools have been a huge thing because tabletop gaming online has been extremely valuable to people who may not be able to get out to their friendly local gaming stores like in the first place. So just general accessibility tools and safety tools, which I'm very much a fan of.
I love that, yeah. I think there is sort of this callback to playing things on forums. So like a lot of people are playing with Discord now, using it sort of like a play-by-post.
Play-by-post, yes.
Sort of like, you know, harkening back to those days. And I think that's really interesting, like the use of like Discord, not just for its live streaming capabilities, but also its chats, it's like different forums, it's different like channels, and integrating that into play.
In one of the games that I am running, we have a Discord where like I'm not the GM, but I know that the GM has created a channel for every player so that he can see all of those channels and he can disseminate information to us individually should we need it. And then we have like the standard channel where everybody can just come in and kind of like talk to each other about, you know, what's going on in the game, or, you know, if we have any questions for him about something that we may need clarification of, or for in a previous game, like being it offers a level of accessibility to your GM as well, to help you, if you have questions about the game that, something that you may have wanted to get to in a previous session that you didn't, and like, hey, I really wanted to know kind of what this thing was about, and then, well, we'll bring it up in the next session, or if it's something super small, I was like, yeah, I can just tell you about that now. So like a level of accessibility to your players, to your fellow players, and to your GM is really good.
All right, so how is consuming games online in a live stream format different from playing tabletop games regularly with a bunch of friends? And what does it entail from cast, crew, behind the scenes folks?
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
So first things first, like when you're consuming online content, you are receiving the end result of more people's work than the people you see on the screen, right? There's a lot involved with, some shows may have a producer who helps them out with everything, some shows may not. And you have to understand that, like, no matter the production value, it's still an immense amount of effort. I can't tell you how many times right before we've gone live with Rivals of Waterdeep, before we got our new producer, that we have been stressing out about computer issues or audio issues, or like the subtitles aren't working, what's going on here, what's going on there. So it's definitely like when you're consuming online live stream content, like it is content that has been produced for people to view. Like Banana said earlier, the difference between like what you can show, like what you can talk about and explore in an online game versus what you're putting out into the world via live stream, which some people may be like, oh no, I don't want to see people talk about their feelings. I don't want to see that today. But you're playing a game with your friends, and it's like, I do kind of want to explore how my character is feeling about a certain thing. What it entails is, so here's how I'll run down the Rivals pre-stream for y'all. So call time is about half an hour before we go live, right? We're all in call. Our producer makes sure that he gets our caption links and our Zencaster links, because we put the show out in podcast form as well. And then there's making sure that the captions are all being read, like, sound checks and everything like that. And then, making sure everybody's there, everybody's in their windows. If somebody is missing, making sure that we have, the proper graphic for them so that, there's something in that square, and then all the various countdowns to going live and making sure that the videos run on time and the countdown to going live. There is so much in that little half hour that if like, before we had a producer, like it was one of the cast members, so it was one cast member making sure that they had to do that in addition to making sure that they could still like play. So like, there's so much that goes on pre what everybody sees that, you know, even if we had a breakdown 5 minutes before, you would know because our producer is handling all of that basically live. There's so much that goes into a pre-show thing. It's a lot, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's like a lot going on, and also like most games you have one GM, right?
Mhm.
But with a live stream, it's sort of like everyone behind the scenes is also a GM because you're managing a lot.
Yes, a little bit, and then, you know, some shows like this season, we have 2 GMs. And that's a feat all in its own because you don't have that sort of instant feedback as if you were, you know, in a room with everybody all together. Like, you don't have those same cues from people because, you know, you're a little bit of a delay over Zoom or whatever, so, yeah.
And then on top of that, you also have like people who have to monitor the chat and making sure that,
Yeah.
you know, everything is in working order, but also like, you know, what if there's something that needs to be responded to immediately and still have that interactivity?
Yes, absolutely. And when it comes to Rivals, we're all very active in chat. We also have our own Zoom chat open so that if, you know, if one of us notices something, we try to point it out to each other before it gets caught in chat, because you know how chats go. Like,
Yeah.
one person notices a thing, and then suddenly everybody notices a thing, and they think that we don't know that. So it's like, okay, calm down, we know. Let the moderators handle it, let our producer handle it. Like, there's a lot of crowd control in there as well.
Absolutely. So for streaming, just not part of the original question, but do you have an ideal amount of time for streaming? Like, what is the ideal time, like a minimum and a maximum time to stream a game?
I've answered a lot of these questions first, so I will open it to you, Banana, if you do any streaming.
Oh gosh, I actually don't do a lot of streaming. I depend on other people to like tell me where to go and what to do, and like I'm a player, so I'm very lucky in that aspect where I'm just like, I don't have to deal with any of this behind the scenes stuff, and I'm just gonna play and answer a few questions in chat, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tricky thing, I think. Like I do some of the behind the scenes when I do the streaming. I do the graphics, and then I do like the, making sure all the players have everything they need and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it really depends on what you're playing. Ideally though, I think 2 hours is kind of like a good time. And if you go over than that, it really depends how engaged your audience is. I feel like if your audience is not that engaged, they would probably drop off after that 2 hour mark. But some games run until 4 if they really, really are into what's going on with the game. But yeah, I was always curious about what the ideal time is, but I think around 2.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. 2 hours is my sweet spot for from hello to sign off and goodbye. 2 hours is ideal for me. If we're doing 3 hours, that's when I say, hey, we'll need a break halfway through. I have never gone past 3 hours. But even during 3 hour games, I have pretty bad ADHD. So at about that 2 hour mark, I feel myself starting to flag a little bit. And I have a lot of stuff on my desk that I can use to kind of distract myself. So, but about 2.5 hours is that sweet spot. I feel to at least get the story moving, because a lot of times if you take too long in your intros, you really only end up with about an hour and a half of play, because you've still got to also do your outros and things like that. So really a 2 hour game, like a 2 hour time slot, is going to end up being about an hour and a half of play. With intros, sponsors if you have any, and then outros and everybody saying what they're going to be doing. So that is about where I feel the most comfortable.
Let's see here. I'm gonna continue on with this. So what are some ways that streamers have found that have been useful when adapting tabletop RPGs for the screen?
So I know a little bit, this is like crossing over into ARG territory, but I feel like some streamers, they're starting to use like Discord as a way of communicating with their players and letting them choose the options of like where things are gonna go. They're doing that also with like Twitch in general, where they're just like, you know, if someone tells us to do a thing, we'll probably go through that direction or something like that. So I think that there is like this crossover with like ARGs or alternate reality games where it's just like, oh, it could be taken in a different light. Like, you know, you're basically guiding the players, you know, in a different direction if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
I have seen a little bit of choose your own adventure there as well. Like there are, if the production is like really on the ball, and there's kind of like a clear-cut path that the game is going to follow. I've seen Twitch mods like get polls ready for when it seems like a game is about to reach a certain point where they could go this way, or they could go that way, and the Twitch audience is polled which way are they going to go, and then like it's a super short poll, maybe not 30 seconds to a minute because you've got the delay between the game and the Twitch chat, but like super short stuff that is like, okay, the audience has decided that they're going to go that way, and then it gets it's adapted that way. I had another thing. When adapting. So I'm very extremely old school about this. So if ever there's anything that like we need to show, like both players and audience, I'll literally just throw an image link.
And then share it?
Yeah, just an image link up in our backstage chat, and then like for the players, for the audience who wants to know what's going on, then I just throw the link in chat, and everybody oohs and ahs and over everything. So yeah, just pictures.
Yeah, I've experienced that. Yeah, when we're live streaming and stuff like that, a lot of people, they chat on Discord, and that's where they put memes in there and they put their like pictures and stuff. And I think that really adds a lot of the interactive like aspect of the whole stream, which makes it enjoyable for a lot of people.
It's also a very good way to keep player focus, because if you have somewhere that the players can channel all of that chaotic energy, as opposed to having that window open where you're scrolling Twitter while somebody is talking about something, or you're on your phone while the GM is describing something. Like having that meme window where you are doing jokes about what you're playing to funnel that energy in, it is much better. And it actually, I think it keeps the player engagement as well, because yeah, you're memeing, but you're memeing about the game, which means you're paying attention to what's happening so that you can meme.
Are you all familiar? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, are you all familiar with Kolak from Hyper RPG?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do this really cool thing where they have like an additional actor go on and act out like I don't know, like the creature that's like, or the monster that's been manifested throughout the game or something like that. And it's just like, it was Nox, right? So it was Nox dressed up, and he's just like going around the table, just like being creepy, and everyone else has to just like continue acting as if like nothing's happening. And I also like how they do pre-recorded stuff. So they would insert like pre-recorded stuff into the stream. So it sort of like breaks things up a little bit, and it's just like, what's going on? Like, the player or the viewers are just like, oh wow, why is this like ad about this town suddenly popping up in the stream? And it's like all about like, keeping the engagement up.
Absolutely.
Here's one last one that I wanted to ask. What are some of the ways, if you were GMing or if you're a player, how do you keep yourself from not getting distracted and being on task while you're live streaming? Because Latia mentioned earlier, like ADHD thing. I suffer from that a lot, because sometimes during the plot of what I'm playing online, it's like, it gives me an idea for something, like cosplay, which is a really bad time to be like thinking about during a live stream. But how do you keep your focus, or how do you get everyone to keep focused during the game?
So similarly to what I said, like having somewhere where you can funnel that extra energy is good, to keep you on balance. If you're, like, I mean, this is kind of just a base thing, but like if your game is engaging, like if your GMs are engaging, if your fellow players are engaging, it's not gonna be so difficult for you to lose that focus. And again, I say this as someone who suffers from ADHD, like even the most engaging games will still have me turn to my phone because I just thought about something and I'm like, I need to follow this thought before I forget it. Finding other ways to occupy yourself, like I keep several fidget toys at my desk, and if I have something to do with my hands, then my brain is also, like my brain is able to easier focus on what is happening in front of me, like just something that I can, like your idle animation, for example, like I've got this, I just bought it, it's called like an Icosa, it looks like an atom, but it's got like 12 or 16 balls of different colors, and you can just kind of like move them around, like it's almost like a round Rubik's Cube, where you try to like put the colors together, or you can like make different designs or whatever, but like working with that while I'm playing a game is probably the easy, like it's the most recent thing that's been able to keep me focused. So something that I can occupy that one part of my brain that wants to wander with is going to be a little bit easier for me than just trying to be like, wow, this is riveting.
So when I'm playing live streams, I always get distracted with chat, and I always just
Yeah,
like close
yeah.
my
Yes.
close, and I like stay away from chat. I stay away from like all of that. Turn off like all my Twitter notifications and everything, and I just try to focus on the game. How has that been your experience?
In most of the games in most of my live stream games, like it's fun to engage in chat. So I probably shouldn't be. I probably should be more like you. But when chat is really when chat is really into it, I'm really into it.
Mhm.
Because I know that they're engaged, and I'm like, oh, something really exciting must be happening in this game that I'm supposed to be participating in. I should probably pay attention.
Yeah, I remember when I did a live stream with Banana, I was like manning the kind of like the tech side of it while they were playing the game. And if there's an interesting blurb or something that's in chat, I flash it on the screen so that the players can see it. So if like players have it closed, like the comment section closed, because it gets so distracting, and then when I see something moving, it really distracts me. So yeah, so like I just like kind of just flash it there, and then everyone was like, oh, that's what they were laughing about. Okay,
Yeah.
like yeah, I get it now.
That's the other thing. If somebody will see something, again, I really like, my primary thing right now is Rivals, so that is the thing that I have most to fall back on as far as live streaming experience, but none of us are very good at keeping a straight face about anything. So if I'm watching Zoom chat and I see like Eugenio, if I see him laugh at something, then I'm going to chat because I need to know what he's laughing at.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't put it in our backstage chat, then I'm scrolling. I'm like, Eugenio, like you're GMing and you're laughing at something. I'm supposed to be paying attention to you. What was so funny?
Yeah,
So really, I'm sorry. Really, it's your own players and GMs who are your biggest enemies.
yeah, it's like having an inside joke and you're like, oh, I don't get it. All right, well, I think that's all for questions. Is there anything else you would like to discuss about online streaming?
I wish there was more stuff that was like specifically catered towards live streaming, like games
Yes.
designed for live streaming.
Yes, I do as well. Like, it's fun to figure out how to adapt things like that, but I mean, we're not like live streaming isn't going to slow down.
Yeah.
And to that point, I wish people would, and who's to say that they're not? Stuff takes a while to develop. But I would love to see more things that are meant for live streaming, like you said.
Absolutely, because I don't think every single game is built for it.
Mhm.
There are some games that are just like, they don't adapt to it easily, or you really have to do a full They just to like
Take
make
apart,
it-
like literally take it
Yeah.
apart and put it back together and thinking about it and with your live streaming brain.
All right, well, we're gonna open the floor for Q&A. Is there any questions from the audience?
Yes, all for you.
Well-
We're very glad that you're here.
Coming to our channel.
What's if a designer could add one thing to the actual like game to make it easier for people to live stream and better, what would it be? What would your like dream thing to have in there to make that easy?
Oh, full production crew.
Yeah, full production.
That would be-
or the how to, really, not even a production crew, just a how to, because a lot of times if we want to live stream something, we're left figuring that out on our own.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm, yes.
So, just as if you were going to put an adaptation into your game, like, oh, this game is meant for 3 to 5 players, but if you want to add more players, here's how you do that. This game is meant to be played on, in person, but if you were going to do this via live stream, because so many people don't have access to a multi-camera setup.
Yeah. Mhm.
Which is like, if you're gonna do a board game, that's the thing, you gotta have the cameras for your players, you gotta have like the top down or the side view to show what you're gonna do. So having even like a graphics package, I'm gonna stop it there.
I love that,
Graphics
yeah.
package.
Yeah.
Like, I need to, the easiest way for me to be able to show what your game components are, if I don't have a multi-camera setup, is a graphics pack. And that is what I would say.
Yeah, that is a whole other like thing that I tackle during live streams. Is like when I do the overlays, because you want the stream to look very presentable and like nice, right? And then you have to do the overlays over like all the windows of all
Yeah.
your players.
And a lot
It's
of-
hard to do.
It is, and a lot of times, okay, so the thought that I didn't quite finish as I was getting into that was, a lot of these people, these companies and these designers know that these games are going to be shown to people on stream, or online, or something like that. And there are a lot of people who want to be able to show these games that they love to people, but they don't have the money for a multi-camera setup. So, when we put out The Darkest House, it's an online only game. We thought about that beforehand. So what we did was we put out like a big overlay graphics pack, right? So we for the GM and 2 players, for the GM and up to 6 players, I think we included several overlays, so that if anybody wanted to stream it, it's like, here you go, here are thematic graphics, and then we also included GM, players, and display, so that if somebody wants to show the window or the picture or whatever that they're what everybody is looking at when they play The Darkest House, they have that window already there. They don't have to think about any of that, except for how, which setup they want to use. So, graphics.
I would probably also think about like other ways. So if we're thinking about like how to play on Zoom, having like the tools like readily available. So like we already have calibration tools in most games, right? We have like safety tools, we have the X card, we have whatever. But we don't have that adapted to online play. So how do we translate role playing onto, an online platform like Zoom? Because you don't have the same social cues. You don't have like the same stuff as you do as, if you're playing in real life. So how does that get adapted? Maybe having like a whole, I don't know, how to play online section. Maybe that's like something that we need to think about when it comes to like calibration from here on out.
One of the things that I wanted to have, now that I'm going to start like streaming some different games on our platform more, is like a deck, that a production deck. I forgot what it's really called. It looks like an iPad, and then you pretty much just run your game through there. That way you'll have that additional thing that controls everything that's happening in the game while you're not touching the screen that's meant for like live streaming. So
like a stream deck?
yeah, stream deck. There you go, stream deck. Yeah.
Oh, like deck command ideas.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do this online, here's how you, like if you have a stream deck, here's how you should set it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
That would
Yeah.
make it so much easier.
Yeah. I agree.
Cause yeah, I like running one shots and then it's a whole new thing. It's like you start over every time you like do a new like kind of like production.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's a lot of work.
it is a lot of work. Wish I was doing it full time, right? Like, do you have any other questions?
I got something.
Sure.
She mentioned, Latia mentioned accessibility tools earlier. Are there more that you would like to see like implemented or like that could be imagined to make the space more accessible, not only just for players, but for the people who are watching?
I would, somebody make it better and a free captioning service.
Yes. Yes.
Like, it upsets me that Google Meets is the best out there right now, but you only get an hour if you're not paying for a workspace.
Wow.
Web Captioner is good, but it's too much setup on the back end. What Rivals is using right now is a service called PubNub, which is free. Definitely can use a little bit more fine tuning and tweaking, but it is the easiest so far because it is a captioning system that is tied to your IP.
Okay.
So if you have, like if you use a link for a stream or whatever, that's gonna be your link forever. So if that stuff is already in your OBS or your Streamlabs, it's gonna be that forever. Like unlike Web Captioner where you have to grab a new link every 48 hours unless you're a part of the guy's Patreon, in which case you can get like a vanity link, which I've been supporting this guy on Patreon for months, and I messaged him, I'm like, yo, how do I get my vanity link? He's never responded to me, so take that as you will. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy, it's a wonderful service, but like the communication there is very nil. Or maybe I'm doing it wrong, I don't know. But I would love, please just give me a good captioning service. Because I also have auditory processing issues. I'm one of those people who watches movies with subtitles. I need to be able to know what my fellow people are saying. Because oftentimes I'm also just like listening to 3 things at once, and I need to be able to understand it somehow.
I like that you brought that up because sometimes, English is not my first language, and sometimes it's really easy for me to like, what exactly did it say? Like, I don't understand. So I like see it in the captions, like, oh, okay, But yeah, it's a good point.
And no captioning service is going to be perfect because of how people speak and, inflections and all of that stuff, and, trying to catch that as fast as they go. But really, Google Meets is the best one that I've seen so far. And again, I just hate how, accessibility should not be extra.
Yeah.
It should be included in the base package of whatever it is that you're getting. Like, I shouldn't have to pay $6 a month just to be able to have captions. Like, just give them to me, please and thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Any other questions?
I hope that did answer your question, by the way.
Yeah, captions is one thing. It's the primary thing that I feel like I rely on whenever I'm watching streams. I just didn't know if there was like something else that somebody had thought of that I did not.
Not really, because the primary thing is that when you're watching a live stream, a lot of it, like you're kind of running on the assumption that what you're going to be experiencing is very theater of the mind. Unless it's something that is established where somebody has art of a thing that they are, either showing off while you're streaming or will be shown later. So like in the moment, the best thing that I can think of is captions.
Any other questions? No? All right. Well, do you have anything else to add before we,
I don't think so.
no? Okay. Well, with that, we'll just go on ahead and do our outro. So let's start with telling everyone where they can find you in social media and your upcoming projects or current projects.
I'll go first. So you can find me everywhere as my name is Latia Jacques. It's just at Latia Jacques. Anywhere that I have a social media presence, if my name's not there, I'm not there. As for upcoming projects, I don't have a whole lot going on right now. Again, you can watch me every Sunday on Rivals, twitch.tv/Rivals of Waterdeep at 10 a.m. Pacific Noon Central, and I stream occasionally, also at twitch.tv/Latia Jacques. I generally don't know what I'm streaming until a couple of hours before, so Twitter is the best place to see what I've got going on.
Oh, wow.
I'm very sporadic. I need to plan things, however, if I plan it an hour before it happens, I'm not gonna wanna do it. So that's where you can find me.
Right. Banana?
Yeah, and you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Banana Tran Games. You can find my company, Game and Curry, on Twitter and Facebook mostly. My upcoming projects, I have 2 Kickstarters this month. The first one is Suburban Consumption of the Monstrous, which is an anthology of 14 different horror LARPs. That is up on Kickstarter right now, and it's by Sadia Bees and I. And then the second Kickstarter is Exquisite Crime, which is by Sentinel Lim and I, and that is being published through Hunters, and it's about being a psychic detective trying to solve a crime while creating the crime as players using exquisite corpse drawings.
I'm very excited for that game.
Yeah, the art is amazing. I can't really show it yet, but it is really, really good.
Thank you.
And my name is Monica Paprocky, also known as Geeks A Go-Go. You can find me at Geeks A Go-Go everywhere on social media. All right. Well, thank you so much for attending our panel, everyone. Have a great Gamehole.
Everyone.